Hi, I'm Lisa Capalla. Welcome to Where's Wilmington? And I am very excited about today's program because I have computer genius and guru with me. He wouldn't say that about himself, I'm sure. Jim Beaucaire. Jim, great to have you with us.
Lisa, nice to be here. Thank you.
And he is from Computer Shrinks. So obviously we're going to be talking about computers, everything that we can cover in a half an hour,
Right.
which probably will just scratch the surface, I would imagine.
You do a pretty good job.
Yes. So tell me, first of all, how you came up with the name Computer Shrinks for your company and how long you've been doing what you do.
Well, the way we came up with the name was we put down on a piece of paper a bunch of names with the word computer in it, and had to eliminate the ones that were already taken, obviously, and came down to 4 of them and said to our wives, my partner and I, to our wives, which of the 4 do you like the best? And they chose the Computer Shrinks, and the rest is history.
I like it. And let me tell you, when you came to fix my computer, I was about to lay down on the couch and die myself. So tell me how long you've been doing what you do and how your field has changed over the last few years. I'm sure there's been a lot of things that have changed in your industry.
Well, we've been in business for 6 years, started in 2004, and have grown almost every year since then. We had a little setback last year because of the recession, but been doing pretty well. Some of the things that have changed is the technology itself changes on a regular basis. The biggest thing is that the computers are getting faster, smaller, and less expensive. And instead of, a lot of people now, instead of replacing, instead of fixing, they're replacing machines because, 2 years ago you'd buy a laptop for $1,300. Today you can buy that same laptop for about $5 or $6.
Right. That's frustrating to me as a consumer, though, I have to say.
I know.
I know faster is better, yes, but I come from a if it's not broken, don't fix it kind of thing. So I understand that technology is upgrading itself, but at the same time that is frustrating. You can't get parts, or this won't do that, or so. How do you feel consumers embrace what I just said?
I think there's 2 mindsets. Obviously, the ones that if it's not broke, don't fix it, and there are those that want the latest and greatest, and they're on what we call the bleeding edge because it hasn't been fully tested. Although the manufacturer has tested it with their test. Beta people, but it hasn't been tested over a large population, so they're kind of on the leading bleeding edge. But I think a lot of people are more in the way of they don't actually resist change, they just don't embrace it 100%, and if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Right, because I like my computer does what I tell it to in a certain way.
And you're used to it. And
yes, and I like roads that go where I know where they go. That's why I live in a small town. So I feel the same way about technology. Has your customer base changed? Are you getting more and more home-based clients than you were business clients before?
To a certain extent, that is true. Businesses, because of the recession, I think, have pulled back on a lot of upgrades, and we've gotten more home-based customers, and a lot of those have been with regards to slow machines or viruses or just general cleanup issues in terms of what do I need to do to make this last another couple of years. The past couple of weeks have had several customers that's exactly what we've done, is gone in and cleaned them up, added some more memory, and they're now looking to get a couple more years out of their machine. And
so you put new tires, you take a few dings out, and it still runs for another few years. How does someone know whether they should buy a laptop or a PC for the home? How do you make that choice?
Well, the biggest differentiation is price and mobility. If you are going to use it in the computer in a sedentary position and always being at a desk, then it probably makes sense to buy a desktop. And the reason is that they're less expensive, they're easier and more capable of upgrades. Whereas a laptop, obviously you have the functionality of taking it with you. With wireless networks, you can have it connected to your home network and be on the couch or in the kitchen or in the bedroom checking email or Google or Facebook or whatever it is that you want to do. So that's the biggest determination, is how are you going to use your machine, and then figure out whether or not the additional cost is worth it.
Okay.
And for a lot of folks, there's not that big of a disparity anymore. It used to be hundreds of dollars between a desktop and a laptop. You know, you get a good desktop for about $400, $500, and the laptop would cost you maybe $1,200 or $1,500. Now you can get a desktop for $300, or even one of those netbooks now for $299.
Right.
And it'll do just about anything that you want it to do, provided you're not doing real heavy calculations like
right.
A database or something like that. But for checking email and for going on the web,
basic everyday use.
Yep.
Okay. How do you know who to buy from? Should I just look in all the sale pages and whoever's got the best deal, that's who I go with?
Well, that might be one way of doing it, but you really need to do a little bit of research and figure out what is your price point in terms of how much do you want to spend. And then once you figure that out, that determines whether or not you're going to be able to afford a large screen laptop, or if it's going to be a desktop with a big screen, or if a netbook is what you're looking for, then how much you want to spend on that. And what you really want to do is spend as much money as you possibly can for the machine. Don't spend the money foolishly on peripherals like a $100 DVD burner. Spend it on the processor and memory. The faster the processor and the more memory you have, the longer the machine will last and the better the experience will be.
So maybe don't go for the bells and whistles so much. Go for practicality based on what your needs are for the machine.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And you brought up an interesting point. You mentioned Facebook, which we call social networks.
Right.
What do you have to say about those and how safe they are for computers? I know you sent me some information that folks can get from you about the safety of social networking and some things to consider. I really would like to talk about that.
They are a great means of communicating, some people to the extreme, but you need to be careful of what you post, because once it's on the internet, it's not like writing a paper and then being able to crumple it up or put it in a shredder.
Right.
It doesn't go away. It's there
right,
forever.
and even if you remove it from there, they have now computer forensic people who can go and find whatever you've put forever.
Or if it, just because you've removed it from the Facebook computer, it could be on somebody else's computer someplace else and reappear somewhere. So be aware of what you're posting and what your audience is and what kind of image you want to portray to the public. If you don't care what you look like, then, go wild.
But also there are employers, which, reading this document you sent me, which was very useful, employers look at Facebook and will sometimes hire or not hire based on what they see.
Exactly.
I had no idea they were doing that.
Yep. There is actually a couple of cases that people are suing a potential employer because they were not given a job because of the things that were on Facebook, and they felt that because of the things that were there were inappropriate for the position that they were applying for, and therefore felt that they would not be a good candidate or a good employee.
Okay.
So you really have to be careful. And like I said, it is a great means of communicating with people that you haven't maybe talked to in a long time or communicated with in a long time. I'm using it to get back in touch with my high school graduation class. Right. And it's been
So it has some advantages, but you want to be aware of the disadvantages too. What about when we see all the time spyware? You got to get spyware, or you need to have malware or anti-spyware. What does all that really mean to the average individual?
Basically, it's a program that is put on your machine, and it comes in several different flavors. Spyware, adware, viruses, malware, they're all kind of in the same family. It's kind of like a germ, if you will.
So spyware is not a good thing?
No, no. You want an anti-spyware program to keep it off of your machine. Basically what the term means is that it's spying, and it's aware of what you're doing. So it's basically a program that's spying on your
So it's capturing your information and your habits and putting them out to the universe for whatever use the person operating the program
wants. It could be something that you've allowed from a vendor that is capturing data and maybe provided you with a free program. And part of the terms and conditions are that you agreed to were to allow them to put spyware on your machine. So if you don't read the fine print, you could be still, be getting spyware on your machine, and you agreed to it because you wanted this program.
Because I always check I agree. I never read that thing. Does anybody?
Nobody does. The lawyers do probably.
Right. So then you want anti-spyware and anti-malware also. Now, those usually come with your computer, or do you need to purchase them and install them?
Well, typically there's a program, a set of programs, or a suite, if you will, that comes as a trial. A lot of manufacturers, like the major manufacturers, Dell, HP, will team up with a third-party vendor that will provide you with a program and give you, depending upon which program they're offering that particular month, a 30 or 60 or 90-day free trial.
Okay.
And you run it, and then it runs out, and then you're supposed to sign up with the vendor so that you can continue to get the updates.
Right.
What happens in most cases is that, or a lot of cases, people get the protection for the first 30 days or 60 days, and it runs out. It's like, yeah, I'll get to it later, and they never do.
Right.
And 30 or 60 days later, they get something on their machine. Or it could be much later. It really depends on where they go.
You won't necessarily have to see a virus for the spyware to be doing what it's supposed to be doing, right? It may not cause a virus. It might just be capturing your identity or your information. Is that correct?
Right. And
so you really don't know.
That's exactly right. You don't know, which is why you need to be vigilant about making sure that it's updated and the scans are being run on a regular basis. And I tell most of my customers that a weekly basis is what you should be checking this stuff for, and running the scans at a minimum once a month, but more frequently is better.
And what's nice is you can set this up to do it automatically, right? So you don't have to do it, which is the way I go, because I would never remember to do it.
A lot of times they'll do that, but then they turn their computer off, and the computer needs to be turned on in order for that to happen. But they don't realize that it needs to be turned on, or just automatically that's their habit every night.
Right.
So those folks that do that, I tell them that what night do you want the scan to run, or during the week?
Right.
You need to leave your machine on and make sure that you do. Then the following morning, you can just check it, make sure that it's run okay, and then continue to turn it off the rest of the week.
Right. How are most people doing, in your experience, with running these programs?
I would say not so well.
Really? So that's more business for you, but not so good for us, right?
Yeah, and the reason is that it becomes harder and harder for people to stay up with all the changes.
Right.
The people that are putting the stuff out are always one step ahead of the companies.
You mean the bad guys?
The bad guys, right. Are one step ahead, maybe even 2 steps ahead of the good guys.
I see.
And they are always in a reactionary position. They're always trying to, this just happens, and now they have to scurry and get a fix for it. So that's why it's important to be vigilant about getting the updates on a regular basis.
So if you take nothing else from this program, definitely make sure you get those programs going. We're going to take our midpoint break here. When we come back, we're going to talk about passwords and password safety, and I'm so bad with that, and about protecting your identity, and also a little bit about senior citizens and their computer use, and that, they're an interesting group of people as far as what their needs are. So we're going to talk a little bit more with Jim Beaucaire right after this.
Passing gas in the presence of others is not only inappropriate,
that is so foul.
It can be deadly. Passing gas releases a fog of carbon monoxide,
Grandpa,
and other poisonous fumes that can contribute to asthma and pneumonia.
You're killing us over here.
Kids shouldn't be exposed to secondhand smoke. Don't pass gas. Take it outside.
Hi, Hi, I'm Lisa Capala, and you're watching Where's Wilmington, and we are here with Jim Beaucaire of the Computer Shrinks. We're talking about our computers. Excellent topic to cover. There's so much to say, really.
There really is.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about password safety. I'm one of those people who all my passwords are the same, pretty much.
Yep.
Not a good idea.
You're not alone.
Not a good idea, right?
But do you have Post-it notes around them to tell you what, remind you what you are?
No, because I only have one that I use,
so
except...
You're okay then.
But that's really not a good
No, it's not.
idea. And why is that such a big deal? If I know it, what difference does it make?
Well, because if somebody finds out and you just have one password for everything, then they have the golden key to everything that they have access to.
Is it that difficult for a hacker to get your password? I mean, I know if it were obvious, if it were my name, obviously, but, you know, say it's my dog's name.
It depends on what it is that they're getting information from. Most times it's not unless you put some type of a clue there.
Okay.
Like when you log on to the machine, there's a way for you to leave a clue as to what your password is in case you forget it.
Right.
And a lot of people just put what the password is, and that.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, yeah. They'll just put as the the password.
Oh, wow.
So oh yeah, that's the password, so I can type it in now.
Wow. Well, I'm not that bad yet. That's good that I haven't done that. But you recommend having a different password for every account you have?
Not for every account, but maybe several different ones, and you should change them occasionally.
Okay. So where do you keep the master sheet? In a vault somewhere with all the info
yeah,
on it? I mean, what are you going to do then, you know?
There are programs that you can buy, or there are some free ones that you can use to keep track of them.
Okay.
And what it does is it has a master password.
Okay.
So if you lose that password, then...
Well, then you're in trouble.
Right. Then
So hopefully you would pick something that you could remember that one thing.
Right.
All right. What about identity theft in computers? Is that really as prevalent as we would be led to believe?
Absolutely.
Really?
I sent out just yesterday, I have a newsletter that I sent out, or an alert, and one of them was scams through iTunes.
Really?
People are getting iTunes accounts, and they are using your iTunes account, or they
the bad guys.
The bad guys, what they do is they'll send out to 2 million people a like letter saying that they're from iTunes or PayPal, and that you need to update your information and go to this link.
Oh.
And it's asking you for your password, and your user ID and password. Once they have that, they'll just charge up.
So then how do we know the difference between the bad guys, as we're calling them, and the legit stuff? How do we know?
Because those companies typically never send out information asking you to verify who you are. They will only do that when you log into their site.
Okay. So be cautious and be smart, and obviously read everything. Read those things that say I agree, that I always check off and don't read.
And there's two ways to tell whether or not you're on a secure site or not. In the address bar, there's a thing called HTTPS. The S stands for secured.
Oh.
A non-secured one will just be HTTP.
Okay.
Down in the lower right-hand column of a Windows screen, you'll have a lock. It's either open or closed. When it's locked, that means you're in a secure site. So if you go to a bank, online banking, you'll see that the lock is closed. But if you go to Google, the lock will be open.
Excellent. I never noticed that. Okay. What about blocking pop-ups and not blocking pop-ups? Is that dangerous to us?
It's just an annoyance, basically.
Yeah, I would agree.
There's a lot of programs out there, and actually Microsoft has in their operating systems now where pop-ups can be blocked. You can allow them.
Right.
There are some instances where you want to have a pop-up come up because the site that you're on actually has a built-in pop-up to give you either more information or to allow you to log in a pop-up window.
Okay.
And then you would allow it just for that one time, or temporarily allow pop-ups when you're on that site.
Excellent. So I met you through a nasty virus, that I love that it's called that my computer contracted on its own. It wasn't shaking hands with any bad computers, so I don't know how it got it. How do computers get viruses? And it seems like it's getting worse. We've had our computer for 15 years and it never had a problem, and all of a sudden it did. How does that happen?
Well, when you're on the internet, you're susceptible to viruses. You go to a website that's perfectly legit, and let's say that you do a Google search for pears. And you find some sites, and then there's an ad off to the side. for something. Oh, that looks interesting. So you click on that.
Right.
For
which is
like
what they want you to do.
Like maybe a farm stand or something. But who knows? Somebody, one of the bad guys may have put some code on that person's website. When you click on that, you are then allowing that code to come into your computer.
So what's the benefit of them doing that? Just to make it difficult for us to use our machines? What is the point of doing that?
Some of them are to get, actually steal your money. So what they'll do is they'll disable your antivirus protection. They'll make it so that you can't get to the internet but only get to their site.
Right.
And they will put up a fake website that will tell you that you are infected with all these things, like in your case.
That's exactly what happened to me.
And then go to this website to download the software to fix it.
Right.
So you click on there and you give them your $39.95, or in some cases it's $69.95, whatever the price is. You give them your credit card information. They send you a link to download stuff. Okay, so you download something that does absolutely nothing. They give you a false email address to get information that's not going to lead to anything.
I see.
And then your credit card now has this charge, which is from an overseas bank that makes it more difficult for the U.S. banks to get their money back.
So the virus is really threefold. It disables all of your programs, only allows you to go to this phony site where you're supposed to get the cure, and there's no cure there.
Right.
And then you have no recourse, and now they've got all your information.
Right. And if you don't do anything about it with your credit card company, you'll get hit multiple times. I had a customer that he had a $40 charge, $60 charge, and a $109 charge, 3 months in a row.
So then the best thing to do is if you get a virus and you see anything come up that says, purchase this, you shouldn't do it.
Correct.
What do we do if we get a virus? Obviously call you or another
call someone that
can fix these things.
Right. Do not give them any credit card information, because that's the worst thing you can do. Although it's frustrating that you keep on seeing this. In some cases...
And you know, usually it's late at night when you're working on a project or you need something important.
It's a deadline,
when these things happen.
You have a deadline due for the morning. And,
Never happens at an opportune time.
Oh, gosh, no.
I know. When we do contact someone to come and fix our computer, how do we know they're legit and what should we look for? So now we've got this virus, we're scared to death as it is, and we invite you to come in and we don't know you. How do we make sure that you really know what you're doing and that you're not going to make things worse so that I have to spend more money to fix my machine?
Right. There's a couple of things that you should do. First of all, check to see how long they've been in business. See if there's any outstanding complaints with the Better Business Bureau.
Right.
I am a member of the Better Business Bureau, so check to see if they have references.
Right.
Maybe talk to them, or if there's testimonials on a website, talk to them directly and see how comfortable you feel talking to them. If they sound kind of shaky or like they don't know what they're doing, then I would go on to the next one in line. And
I suppose if something was done and I could call another agency and have them come in and say, did this person do what they said they were going to do? Someone could check somebody else's work to make sure if you needed to do that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we want to talk a little bit about our senior citizens and how vulnerable they are with computers and using computers. Can you give us a little insight for our senior viewing population about what they should look for and how they should go about protecting themselves or even getting a computer?
Well, the same thing holds true that whether you're 3, 30, or 130, be careful of where you go and what you do and how you use your machine. Don't give out information free willy.
Right.
Be cautious of what you're doing. Our seniors are, because they have not worked with computers a lot, I think in a lot of cases are, I wouldn't say scared, but they are intimidated by computers and how fast they are and what they can do and so forth. Although some of them are really fascinated by it. I have several customers that are senior citizens that they can't live without their computer.
Right. But they're probably more susceptible to these scams because to them it looks like an official document, and I would imagine they're a little bit more trusting, maybe. You know, in some
probably
cases.
because they grew up in that age where you know you left your door open and your car windows down, and the keys in the car in the driveway.
Right. I still do that. Don't anyone come to my house, though. I locked the car up today. What do you want people to know about computers? What's the biggest either pet peeve or complaint that you have that really keeps you in business that you'd like everybody to know about so we can stop doing some of the things we're doing that make us so susceptible?
Just randomly clicking on things that pop up. I mean, that seems to be the biggest thing, is something popped up and it's asking you to confirm without reading it. They just click yes, 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 and before you know it.
I hate the sneaky ones that say if you click cancel, you'll stay in the site.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you seen those?
Yeah.
Well, you really have to read what
Click
it says.
continue to cancel.
Exactly. That's a genius move, but I've done that before.
Or click cancel to stay.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about, I've done this a lot too, shutting off your machine because you can't get it to shut down instead of shutting it down? How bad is it to do that?
Well, you shouldn't pull the plug.
Okay.
That's the worst thing you can do. There is a little trick that if you push the power button and just hold it for about 10 seconds, it'll power itself down. And that is if you can't power it down through the program, that's the next best way to do it.
Okay. And that's safe. That would be reasonably
Yes, because
safe.
that is telling the computer that you want to power it down. It goes through its power down sequences, and it'll power the machine down safely.
Is there anywhere that we can look that will tell us the things that you're teaching us? You know, we all have computer manuals, but there doesn't seem to be a place we can go to really learn about all these safety tips and things that we should know when we purchase computers. You know, I just think you plug it in and you turn it on and you type away and you're all set.
Right. There isn't a set manual. That would be nice if the manufacturer had, you know, this is the user manual, this is the safety manual.
Right.
They don't have anything like that. The best thing to do is, there are a couple of websites that I get a lot of information from. One of them is PCWorld.com.
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 Okay.
Another one is C as in Charles, net.com.
Okay.
They are two websites that have been around for, I don't know, probably 15 or 20 years. And they have a lot of information about not only just PCs, but a lot of different electronics. So if when you go to those sites, there's a way to search, and you could do a search for PC safety.
Excellent. Anything final you'd like our viewers to know today? We covered so much, but
I know.
I'm sure there's more we could still say.
Well, if they have any questions, or if anybody has any problems, or want some more information about what we've talked about today, they can always send me an email.
Excellent.
And that's info@thecomputershrinks.com.
Excellent.
Or go to my website. It's thecomputershrinks.com.
Fabulous. Thank you so much for all that information. I feel safer already. Just
Thank you,
letting you
Lisa.
know, you're welcome, that you've been watching Where's Wilmington here on WCTV. I'm glad you tuned in today. I hope you got a lot out of this. I hope you feel a little safer. Safety first, right?
Exactly.
Good thing. And just letting you know that the next time somebody asks you, where's Wilmington, you tell them right here and right here on WCTV. Thanks so much for watching.